Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about Project Hail Mary. This is Andy Weir's third book following The Martian and Artemis. So this book is going to be a bit challenging to talk about without giving away any spoilers because the main character wakes up and doesn't even know his name. So if I was to mention the character's name, that in itself could be considered a spoiler. So instead, I'm going to be doing a lot of comparison to other books, mostly The Martian, to give you a reference of what this book is like in comparison to those other books. Overall, I would give the book 4.5 stars. I thought it was a very good book, not quite as good as The Martian, in my opinion, but still one of my favorite sci-fi novels. So many sci-fi books will stretch the human imagination as far as it can go. You have books like Leviathan Wakes, where ships are sailing through space, kind of like they're sailing on the ocean. It's like, yes, could it someday, maybe, possibly, eventually happen? Yeah. Is it realistic anytime soon? Not at all. And then you have The Martian, which one of the things I loved about The Martian was that it seemed real. Like, you could imagine that happening in this decade. Us landing someone on Mars is more realistic now than us landing someone on the moon back in the 1960s. So on the scale of, yes, I could see this happening this decade, to maybe this might happen in the next century or 2 or 3, this is closer to the Martian range. It's not quite in the range of this could happen this decade, but it's not unrealistic that this could be a scenario we see in the next 100 years as opposed to the next 1,000 years. So that's where this book falls. It's also similar to The Martian in that you have a single main character that is all alone with no other humans to help him out. The difference is, in The Martian, Mark Watney is trying to save himself. He's just trying to get back to Earth. In Project Hail Mary, the main character is actually relatively safe. It's Earth that's in danger. The whole human species is at risk, and his job is to try to solve the problem and send back the answer to Earth. Now, that's obviously very challenging considering he doesn't even remember why he's there. So the storyline is told where it follows him in his current situation, and then you kind of have flashbacks as he remembers more information about how he got to where he's at. So this book is also similar to The Martian in that both characters are fun to listen to and it's enjoyable being in their head. However, one complaint I have is that I think he used too much humor in the protagonist of Project Hail Mary. There are times where he's in meetings where they're discussing that the human species may be extinct in 2 decades if they don't figure out how to solve the problem. And he's telling jokes, or it just doesn't seem realistic. No matter whose personality you are, if you are in that serious of a meeting, you're not going to be joking around. You're going to be taking it very seriously. So the only other thing that kept it from being 5 stars for me is, yes, the main character is trying to save all of the human species, so the stakes are obviously high, except you build a emotional connection with him, and there's not a lot of we're trying to save him. It's we're trying to save the human species, which, yes, it's huge, but it's also vague. So I wasn't as emotionally involved as I was in, let's say, The Martian. So those are the 2 kind of knocks I have on the book. One is his personality was stretched a little bit too far, especially since there was times where he did get very serious and he wasn't telling jokes. Yet, during discussions of the survival of the human species, that's when he decides, oh yeah, we can use some humor right now. It just didn't work for me. And then the emotional connection was with him. It's not really with the human species, as odd as that may sound. But if the book ended and he lived and Earth was destroyed, I'd probably end happier than if the book ended with Earth survives and he dies. It just didn't have the same emotional attachment and emotional tension that The Martian had. So now let's get into what I really liked about the book. First, the science to me is a lot of fun. If you enjoyed all the interesting science facts and little tidbits and just the problem solving that happens in The Martian or in Artemis, that's in Project Hail Mary as well, so I think you'll still enjoy that. I also enjoyed the main character. Just like Mark Watney, he was a fun character, really easy to cheer for and get emotionally connected to. To me, that's one of the differences between those two books versus Artemis, where one of the things I didn't like about Artemis was I didn't have a connection to the main character. I wasn't rooting for her. She didn't seem like the type of person I would want to win. Third, the plot was really enjoyable with real stakes involved. And on his way to trying to save all of humankind, he has smaller victories and comparatively smaller challenges that he needs to overcome. So there's a little bit of a here's the main thing, but we need to accomplish task 2, 3, and 4 as well. So all of that I really enjoyed. There were times where I felt he was able to just hit the easy button and there was this big problem, but here's the simple solution. Whereas in The Martian, none of his big problems seemed like they had simple solutions that he didn't think of. Nothing was given to him. In this case, it does feel like at times things are given to him, so it's a little bit too easy in my mind, but still very enjoyable. Finally, and I'll have to be pretty vague about this, is his interaction with the environment that he's in and the way he responds to the situations that arise. They're fun to see those play out. So can't really say any more without giving away spoilers, so I will end there. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Let me know if you're going to check out the book or if you've already read it. As always, I will have a link to the book in the description. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps support the channel. So until next time, bye. If any of you watching are a junior high science teacher, do you know how often the sun rotates? Because I'm really curious to see if that is common knowledge among science teachers.